Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Auburn, Massachusetts, and Bowlero, Auburn, my home house and the home house of my broadcasting partner for this round, Mr. Chris Monroy. How you doing, Chris?
Very good, Bruce. How about yourself?
Very good. Welcome to the booth. Never had you here before, and you are the winner of the Vincent Hall Memorial, so you always have a place in my heart as honoring my dad by being a great champion that you are, and nobody works harder at this game than you do, as I've always said. So thanks so much for all that you do. And let's fix your microphone there. How's that?
Very good. Thank you.
There
Now
go.
I can hear you.
Now you're talking. There you go, Bo.
And thank you for the kind words.
All right. So here we go. We're in the round of 8. This is the NEBA Tournament of Champions, sponsored by Storm, Roto Grip, and 900 Global. NEBA number 984. 16 events away from number 1,000, Chris. What do you think about that?
Very, very, very impressive.
And we're almost there. So let's recover the matches first. We'll look at 21 and 2, which is one of our feature pairs, and 23 and 4. Here's Stephen Major coming off a win against Josh Corum, and here's Adam Zimmerman coming off a win against Darren Borges. And then on 23 and 4, it is Chris Forey coming off a win against Andrew Hall and against Mike Mirable, who just beat Matt Fazzone. And moving up the chain, we are going to skip 25 and 6. That will be our finals pair. We will not use that again. So it will have the interest, as usual. It won't be used for 2 rounds of the finals, and so it'll have a little bit of a different characteristic. Always something interesting to comment on by the time we get to the finals. And we'll move up to 27 and 8, and we will find Tom Coco bowling Mallory Clark. Tom with a squeaker against you, Chris. You shot 138 your first game. You're only down 12, and you actually made Tom get the first one in the 10th to beat you. So
yeah, unfortunately on 29 and 30, 1, 2, 3 was extremely tight.
Well, you know, I think you saw a lot of that with the urethane dragging it down. Let me just announce the Kirker match here. So you got John Kirker up on 29 and 30, as you just talked about, and let's see how he makes out on this pair. And he's up against Scott Widmer, who just had a very nice set down right in front of us, and John just threw a shot out, and guess what? It didn't react 2-8. So, yeah, there you go. So it's really fun sometimes in the booth to watch people try to go to pairs, and you know what the history is of the pair. I was working with before he just dumps one on the channel there. I was here with Sarah yesterday, and we were up on 35 and 6 was the last pair. And she just got off shooting like 150 on that pair, and she said this pair is impossible, especially the right lane. It's hook stop, you know, it's whatever's bad about it. And sure enough, the both guys, you know, and ends up winning by Zach Bogholtz. Zach's just coming off 260, you know, and Bill Beck's coming off 230, and they get on this pair. Zach wins it with 198. So it's really funny sometimes to know what's going on with these pairs and watch people.
No, it was a very, I was watching it last night. It was a very good match.
Yeah. And how did you find the urethane change the shot as the day went on? Well,
let me put it this way. I had a little trouble getting out of the gate, as I usually do, unfortunately. On 17, 18, it just seemed like the lane just kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter, which I was not counting on for 33 feet of oil. So I shot 176 that game. We moved pairs.
This is qualifying.
Correct.
First, okay.
And then moved pairs, and then it seemed like I was able to get the right purple urethane into my hands, and then all of a sudden I started to find out the extra recovery and the little bit of shim in the hold. And that's how I did it. Basically, I bowled the whole tournament in 4 games.
Andrew had a pretty good look with his purple, and I got to tell you, you know, and I hate to really call it, especially this being the Storm sponsored event, but that purple hammer, you know, both different flavors of it, you know, the Widow and the regular urethane, you know, with the regular pancake weight block, has really changed this game to the point where it opens up, you know, some patterns like no other ball ever has. It's pretty amazing. I crossed with Johnny Petraglia, it was 2 years ago, down in or out in the Midwest, and he was just throwing a purple, just making him look dead easy. And here's this guy 73. It's not like urethane is this high rev thing these days, right? It's got to be in everyone's bag.
I mean, like I said, I mean, every company makes a lot of really good equipment. I mean, the purple is special, and I'll be honest with you, I wish the ball that I could have used today would have been the purple reactive on 2930. that would have saved me on that pair, but obviously I couldn't use it today because it's not formally released.
Right. Same with the Zen U.
Correct.
Same issue. Right.
And I mean, I've seen a couple people. I've seen some videos of the Zen U, and that does look like it's going to be a pretty good ball, pretty good urethane piece.
I've got it on order. I've got it already coming, and I have a pitch black. I'm drilling another pitch black to go longer and turn harder, which tells you that here's a 65-year-old stroking left-hander with 3 urethane balls now in my arsenal. I have no choice.
Well, we were talking actually when we practiced. What was it, about a week and a half ago on 49 and 50 when you were getting ready for the RPI regional. We talked about that.
Yep, and that's what I used in the RPI on Marshall Holman. So right up 5, and it worked well for a few games. Then when the heads went, which they did because every single lefty was playing exactly the same place, and we only needed a few lefties to carve it up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it would hook stop. So all of a sudden now that's why I needed that second urethane. So it's getting to where, I mean, I feel like I want to do something about this. I'm just like, we have all this great equipment, and we're all invested in it, and all of a sudden it's like, well, just bring one bag of urethane in, and that's all you need, right?
I mean, I think it's just it's just like the analogy with golf clubs. It's another golf club in the bag. It's another tool of the game, and it's just part of the evolution, and you just find a way to make it work.
But more and more patterns are just dictating it. It's just like you show up, and it's just when you see something like 33 feet. I mean, there's a pretty good chance. You're probably going to have to use urethane. Anyway, I'm kind of railing on it a little bit because I throw it weakly because I'm a 65-year-old stroker, so it's hard for me to get really a lot of power off that shot. I like playing the edge, but I do confess I need a little hold shim. I need something that's going to let me ball up a little bit and push it through the front. And unfortunately, I didn't have that today, so I had to ball down and go with the urethane.
Well, with all due respect, for a 65-year-old, however you characterize, you throw it pretty damn good.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying to adapt, as you say, and try to get with the times and all that. So, anyway, back to our match again. We're not in a big hurry with the scores, guys, because it is a 2-game match, just like the old days, the legacy NEBA tournaments. Mm-hmm. And right in front of us is Forey. Just got done with. He had that gutter, and he did make the spare, so he's clean through 3. As well as his opponent Mike Mirable, and that's a 2-pin match there. Meanwhile, Adam Zimmerman went spare washout open, and now he's back. By the way, that ball is the PBA special that they use in the at Team Masters.
The 3-piece plastic ball.
Yeah, it's the 3.0, I think. 2.0
wow.
and 3.0. I think it's urethane. They have one plastic and one urethane ball, and they put out like 7 mils of oil for that pattern. I actually bowled on it, and my plastic ball was hooking off the charts. So you could go backwards, and maybe that's also part of it is people don't want to flood their lanes with oil, and later, because really, you take some of this new equipment and some of this spongy equipment, you need 30 or 35 mils of oil to hold it back. So in defense of, the houses who don't want 400 ball returns and, all this oil dragging down and all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? It's like I can certainly see both sides of the argument.
I mean, on the same token, this was I believe a 27-foot pattern, and so that's a pretty heavy concentration of oil in the front part of the lane for a 33-foot pattern. So, I mean, if we look at the lane from front to back, I mean, you really need to either have a release, which allows you to get dead up the back of the ball until you go through the first transition, or urethane, because it'll be a much slower response ball.
And like any other pattern, if the ball's not reading before it leaves the pattern, you are dead meat.
Correct.
If it's still skidding and going through the end of the pattern, and you're asking for it to consistently flip on the back, you're in deep trouble. So you've got to,
absolutely
so like
correct.
You say, so now you have the thing. The thing has to be into its roll before you get to 30 feet. So it's crazy. And by the way, with the reverse is back to like 27 feet. So it's playing almost as much like a 30-foot pattern, not necessarily even a 33-foot pattern. It's crazy. Adam just way balled up, way moved left, and all of a sudden he couldn't get that ball to react. So there's another washout.
Unfortunately, I think if you tried to throw resin and do that, because of the amount of volume in the middle, and the pattern overall, you send it wide. Sometimes it can shoot right through that spot, believe it or not.
Going, yeah.
And then if you keep it up the lane, it's going to go sideways.
Well, and the other thing is, as soon as you throw it out to the right, now you're catching all the urethane drag down in the midlane. So, urethane going straight up 3-4 is going to deposit oil at the 40, 45 feet range, right?
Correct.
So you're hitting some of that carry down. And it really is carry down because there's no flare, and the oil doesn't soak into the ball. So urethane is guilty of tremendous carry down. So it's interesting. Here's Mike Mirable's in a little bit. That is of course urethane, but that's in. That couldn't have been. That ball couldn't have visited outside of about 6.
Yeah, he started to move in because he was on 27 and 8 during the last match, and it seems like he started to move in a little bit. I crossed next to him during qualifying, and he was definitely further right, so it seems like he's moved in a little bit.
Yeah. Well, here's Stephen Major. That's about as deep as Michael is, and he, of course, here we go. Throws it out to the pattern, doesn't react. 2-8-10.
It's not hard to do that.
Oh, I can't tell you. Oh, I was watching RJ, and RJ is like, okay, bucket, beak, bucket. You know, almost exactly in alternate shots, 140. It's like, I can't tell you how many times I did that. It's just so easy to do. You just try to move, and it's early hook or late hook, and the ball really off your hand has no chance to the pocket. It's just, it gets to where it's supposed to behave, and it completely misbehaves. You don't know how it's going to misbehave. It's tough.
And actually, interestingly, looking on 29-30, looks like the scoring pace is pretty low down there as well.
That's the pair we're watching that you
just
had so much trouble
Okay, so
on,
wonderfully shot 138 the first game.
Well, here's Kirker with 84 in the 5th.
Yep.
And, of course, he's bowling Scott Widmer. And Scott is definitely up the edge. And Scott is he's at 95 in the 5th. He started with a double and an open. So not as bad as you guys had it, but no bargain.
I mean, like where he just left that week 7, the ball comes in late, and because of I think just because of the push and where it should be picking up the lane and making its move, the ball hits soft. I mean, that's basically the ball's hitting soft right now when it does get there.
How many different flavors of urethane do you have? Do you have more than one?
I have 3 purples drilled.
Okay.
I have an attitude control drilled.
Yeah.
And I have the International Widow Purple.
So that's the urethane one still.
Yes.
So you have 5 urethanes.
Yes.
That's a sign of the times. It's like, so there's almost 2 bags of urethane, and then with your spare ball, that's 2 bags right there.
Right.
It's a complete arsenal, to show up and try to bowl a tournament with. So it's brutal. It's brutal. While Adam Zimmerman looking at 50 in the 4th.
Oh boy.
Trouble. And then Mallory Clark with a 2-8-10. And she's having all kinds of trouble on 27 and 8.
I tell you, I got to give her a lot of credit. She threw the ball phenomenal during qualifying. She bowled really, really, really well. I was very happy for her.
She's throwing it incredibly well. She won the women's event here over Amanda Broge, which says something right in itself. And of course, with Jimmy and everything they have up at Bayside, what a great couple that is for bowling.
Just both of them very, very, very talented bowlers. Oh boy.
Unfortunately, as soon as you say that, she flags the 2-8-10, all 3 of them, and now she's looking at 86 in the 6th. And meanwhile, her opponent, who is Tom Coco, goes front 3, and he's still clean. So commanding lead by Coco in that match.
Just looking at it, Coco has a max 257, and Mallory has a max of 206.
Yep. So there you go. We do a lot of math here in the booth. We're always trying to figure out who's ahead by what and all that good stuff and try to call the match. So it's amazing how much natural drama there is if you just follow the match along, right?
Nice shot there.
There by Mike. And responding to Forey's triple. I'll tell you, I think Forey's lined up as well as anybody in the building right now.
I like the way his ball is coming off of 1, 2, 3 with the purple urethane. I really do.
Yeah.
That's what I tried to do all during qualifying, and unfortunately on 29-30, that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy.
Well, as soon as you lay it out, as soon as you trust it right, and it rewards you with a washout, that tightens up your entire. It just closes down anything you're trying to do.
Because when you try and make the move right and then straighten it out a little bit, that's when the ball still goes dead left.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Now, Adam, what he thought he put that in the right place, and the ball just sailed right through the pattern.
That ball is making the pattern look like 50 feet long.
Well, for that shot, and the next one, who knows? Might react. And Michael Mirabile gets that back. Like I was out at Ron Moore's event bowling the short in Vegas one time, and I'm bowling the sweeper, and it's short. And I get up, I need a mark to cash, right? So I trust it. I got thrown that idle, I trust it left. I hit about 2-3, catches 2, and I get 3 off the left on the short. And I'm like, oh, that hurts. And it just shuts you down for any way to play the pattern. You know,
Totally understand.
You got to have something. You got to have either swing, and you got to have a little bit of hold. You got to have something you can push to and something to key off of.
I mean, generally speaking, on short, I look for that little extra free hook. On the long, that's when I look for a little extra free hold. That's just generally the way I try and approach
Makes
things.
sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, me too.
But
same way.
On the short, when you got no free hook and you got no hold,
right,
that's phone booth bowling.
Yeah. Now you're just trying to keep it out of trouble and
get there.
Oh, wow, big turn off the corner for Stephen Major for the double. Meanwhile, Adam Zimmerman, 3 opens, and one of his spares was that baby split conversion, so Adam pacing to 150 right now. And Stephen just got himself back to plus 200, 204 pace now, so 50 pin lead or so for Stephen Major in this first game. Once again, 2-game elimination, just like we used to do at NEBA. You know, it used to be, Chris, that there was, you couldn't re-enter. There's 400 entries, 2-game matches, 48 qualifiers. And by the way, we'd still get through it in a day with 2 squads. We'd still be done, you know, but wouldn't be that late in the night. So, you know, things are much slower now. I'll tell you that for sure. As I was around in those days, I actually finished 3rd in a NEBA in Bloomfield in 1974. I was in high school. I graduated high school in '75. I made the finals. I was 5 pins away from the final, and it was a lot better on the left. So that's probably. And by the way, if I did get that, I'm in the NEBA Hall of Fame because I'd have 12 more points. So, you know, it just goes to show. You know, and all those years the lefties had it great. I didn't do that well because I used to get beat by everybody, including Lichtenstein. 30-something titles. So.
I mean, I don't, at some level, I really am not sure if people understand how demanding the competition is in NEBA. The people that bowl NEBA and that make finals routinely, the competition, even in the last 10 years since we've added the women, we've added the juniors, there are just so many people who are capable of winning at any given moment.
And I think, you know, you look at the PBA regional program. There's not a strong regional program here in the Northeast. I mean, it's okay, and there's actually a regional next weekend in East Providence. But it used to be that there would be NEBA, and then there would be the regionals. There'd be 20, 25 regionals a year.
Right.
I remember doing that. 1982, I think I bowled 24, 28 regionals. Crazy. Every weekend, every other weekend it seemed. And now, you know, if you get 10, 12 regionals in a year, you're lucky. So a lot of that great talent, you know, just has almost nowhere to go, so it just kind of stays right here at NEBA.
He didn't miss by much on that one.
He liked that, actually. I think off his hand it just read immediately, so he wasn't too pleased with the outcome. But again, this is Forey with a comfortable lead now. 39. He's got a 16-pin lead over Mike Mirable. Again, 2-game matches, guys. So we got to quick like bunnies write down the scores before they disappear, so we have them down for our second game.
So if I could be your eyes, so to speak, looks like, let's see, Mr. Kirker is getting up and has a max 191. It looks like Scott Whitmer has a max 211.
Okay. Yeah, John's a little bit deeper, and so I would expect, and well, it's hard to say. Would he have an easier time on that particular pair since the edge is so squirrely?
It looks like he has a 9 miss in the 9th.
They just struck there in the 10th. Yeah, looks like 9 out.
Yeah, I'll also say on the match next to them, the Coco Clark match, Tom Coco has a max 217. Mallory Clark has a max 186, but that match actually has tightened up considerably.
Yeah, Coco started with a triple and no opens. And Mallory had, 2 opens in a row there in the 5th and 6th, so she's come back a little bit there at least. Meanwhile, Tom Coco leaves a 3-9 and makes it. I can't tell you how many times, Chris, I went for the 3-pin and missed it left. And then I went for a 3-8 and missed it left. Then I left a 1-3-6 and chopped the 1-3. You know, and I would chop it. I would come up light. Then I left a bucket and came up light. I just can't. It was just so difficult to get my ball to turn the corner on spares. Of course, as soon as I aim at the spare, it hooks off. It hooks off it. So I must have missed 80 or 90 pins of make-balls today easily in 5 games. It's so difficult.
Looks like Steve got that a little inside a target and the ball squirted.
I wonder if that's a symptom of the pattern breaking down a little bit into giving the guys a little bit of wet dry out there.
Let's see. So if Kirker strikes, he gets a max 191.
And he did double in the 10th, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
Ooh.
And he misses the head pin away on the left for a 139. So what's that, 188?
I believe that would be correct, yes.
188.
Ooh, boy. Mallory just missed a little left, and she just flagged the head pin.
Yeah, as soon as it starts going, it's gone. It behaves like short as soon as you pull it.
Exactly.
Mike Mirabile liked that shot. Right up the pike, hooks a little bit. And this is the pair Scott Widmer started off front 6 his second game.
And I also, I mean, you know this house as well as I know this house, and not only does every pair play very differently, but even within the pair, the right lane can play different than the left-hand lane, depending on the the quality of the panels, topography,
always,
and what have you.
Yeah. Well, you remember the newpanel.com, and I actually have a notepad of where the new panels are in the house.
Right.
And and if the panel is on the mid lane down there, all of a sudden you can have hook, skid, hook. If it's on the front, you'll get through the front nicely, and the lane should behave well, right? If it's on the back end, you have hook, hook, skid. So it's crazy how the different panels, have the effect of ball motion here. Stephen Major with a nice attempt at that.
And the other thing is we got to remember, especially like during the summer, like I think usually like from 14 down or 16 down, they don't oil those lanes routinely like they do in the lanes that are higher up. So those lanes tend to be a little bit more beaten up than the higher end of the house.
That's true. Actually, what we were talking about yesterday was the league end of the house, so the track is way more worn. So no matter what the pattern is, you can almost always find a little bit of friction around, 10, 9, 8, somewhere in there, because there's just so many games bowled and so many league players playing that track. And Forey can't get the ball to react, and he's got a tentative 16-pin lead now. It's not really changing hands. Neither guy can figure out how to strike here late in the game, this first game. And what do we have for, what Coco end up? Do we get that?
I did. Mallory, I made the spare. I honestly, I didn't catch it.
It's still on the scorecard, if we can, or is it?
No, that's the overall
it's
total.
No, tisk.
Guilty as charged.
Tisk. Well, Tom was definitely ahead. He held his leads.
Right.
We'll see how it goes this game. I think Tom definitely has a better look than Mallory does, but
I wouldn't count her out. She's a very tough bowler.
Absolutely, no doubt about that.
I have a lot of respect for her. She throws it great, and she's got a lot of heart.
She's on the PWBA Tour this year, right?
Yep.
And Forey runs out the bucket spare. No problem.
Yeah, those multi. I had to shoot during qualifying. I had to shoot a 3.6 9.10. I make it, and I come back and I tell Scott Camp, it's like I'd rather shoot I'd rather go hang gliding in a tornado than to shoot that spare ever again on this pattern.
Well, I was resorted to plastic the last game. I left a 5.6. The 3-pin comes out of the bucket. I leave a 5.6 and I make it. And
Wow.
nobody even saw it. Too bad I was 150 under at the time, but that's okay. And Kirker kicks things off here. Oh, what did Widmer end up? Do we see that?
I think you're going to give me another tisk.
Tisk. I might have to send you on a little scouting mission here, my friend, to go get those scores. We can do that. So, okay, hold on.
Sure.
Off you go. All right. Chris is on a mission of mercy to go find those scores. Another good shot by Forey. It's blocked by that 5-pin going over. What's that? 196 Whitmer. And how much for Coco and Mallory? Came back with half the scores. And Adam Zimmerman unfortunately just flagged a single pin, unforced error, and ends up good. Okay. Go ahead. All right. What do we got? 217?
Yes, and 166 for Mallory. Sorry about that, Bruce.
No worries, mate. Thank you very much. 217. All right. So 50-pin lead, comfortable lead for Coco. Only about an 8-pin lead for Scott Widmer over Kirker. Here's Adam Zimmerman trying to make a spare. It does. It's going to put him up to the 140s, but you know, you can't count anybody out with a low game like that.
No. No.
Look at yourself. You came back and made Scott strike the first shot in the 10th.
I mean, like I say, you know, that's all you can do. You just got to give yourself, put yourself in position to give yourself a chance, and then sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you got to give yourself the best possible chance.
Look at Forey. He's got his right leg right up against the ball return, trying to get far enough right. This is a variation on the trying to play so deep you're up against the ball return, but he's trying to get so straight.
Ooh, that's up the lane.
Right up the lane.
Oh boy.
A little too much, so that will be 208 for Chris Forey. And Michael Mirabile. By the way, Chris, this is the round in which we call our winner. So I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you who you think on this total grind out might have the best chance.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Tom Coco.
Look at you with the lefty.
For the simple reason is this. I think over time, there's going to be more variability in the pattern on the right side in terms of how the corner plays. Where if Tom can get himself, yes,
yeah.
Where if Tom can get himself lined up, he should have fresher boards on the left side, and his reaction should be a little bit more consistent. That would be my guess.
I agree with you, and that's a good choice. And it's not just this brain dead lefty in Auburn analysis. I think there's so much urethane going down the lane. It is just tearing up the pattern on the right, as you saw, and depositing the oil down the back and taking away the outside shot, which is just brutal. I think if a righty can get to 25 and 6, it won't be as bad. Just because we're not doing it in these matches right now. So honestly, I'm going to go with Forey, and the reason is, again, we talked about his role. I like the way he's getting it through the front. Now another strong contender, Scott Widmer.
I would be willing to put money on him.
Because I think Scott has got he hasn't had to go to urethane. He's definitely spinning some resin, and he's able to control it. So when he gets around the pocket, it's deadly. And by the way, he's now front 4 against Kirker.
On a pair that was very problematic on the right side.
Yeah, that's right. That was your pair you struggled with. Meanwhile, Coco goes chop 2-4-7, but with a 50-pin lead. And meanwhile, Stephen Major, who is everybody's kind of ignoring, but he's sneaky good, comes up with 181, and that will give him a 41-pin lead. So let's recover what's going on here. We're waiting for what did Mirabile end up?
196, I believe.
Look at you. So Mirabile with a 12-pin deficit against Forey. Kirker 8 pins down against Scott Widmer, who already has the front 4. Tom Coco 51-pin lead over Mallory Clark, 217 to 166, and Stephen Major 41-pin lead over Adam Zimmerman, 181 to 140. So those are your matches. Good shot. Champions, and that was really banked off the corner. He's got to move. I'm sorry. Those first 3-4 boards straight up are chewed up, and they're gone. And Mallory just had a Brooklyn cover of the bucket. Made it, but not looking any more comfortable now than she was. Now Adam just moved himself left quite a bit and comes up with the strike. events coming up. It's the on December 10th, Chris, the Better Bowling Concepts Senior Singles. And there'll be some money added to that event. And then on 12-10 and 12-11, a normal singles event. But that is the finals of the Paul Forey Memorial. Right. So we have our top 32. Are you in that?
I am.
Look at you. Me too. So if you and I can somehow get within the top 24 that are finishing that tournament, not just the qualifying, but the tournament, now that was a really good sign for Stephen Major. He got that about 2 left, and sailed down the lane and held off and flushed.
I was just going to say, he found a little bit of hold there. My only concern is what happens if he misses a little bit right.
Well, exactly. He may not react. So there's the Paul Forey Memorial, and where you finish there is a $10,000 added money by Chris Forey and BuddiesProShop.com. $2,000 on top. So if you're in the top 32 for the Paul Forey and you win that tournament, you get an extra $2,000 on top of winning, which is a very, very nice.
Thank you very much.
And
very generous.
And a very good prize fund all the way down. Second, I think, is like $1,600. So a pretty good prize fund there. So now Steven did get that one right a little bit. Comes back and slaps the 10. So he's got that roll going, and if he can control that, that's going to be deadly.
Scott Whitmer's streak just ended at front 5, and he looks like he left a 5-pin.
Well, except that Kirker has opened twice.
Yes.
And so Scott was already up in that match, so Scott has a dominant lead going in. Now Coco just struck here. So Mallory has all spares. And Coco double open strike. So about even this match, and Coco with a 50-pin lead. So Coco in command there, Scott Widmer in command. Right in front of us with Forey. Again, only an 8-pin lead for, 12-pin lead for Forey over Mirabile, and they're even. Meanwhile, Adams got some catching up to do. He's down 40.
Solid 9's not going to help.
No, it's not. With all that power, I think it happens to him quite a bit. There's some bucket crumblage there by Mr. Mirabile. And needs it to overcome his deficit here.
Tom Coco just left a solid 9.
Flush 9, thank you very much. Hard to hit the pocket, and then you go flush 9.
I might remember a flush 9 very well as well.
So interesting, these the higher pairs are about a half a game ahead of the lower pairs down here. So. And Coco goes by the 9-pin. He turned away from it as soon as he let it go. And once again, these single pins really hard. So that's going to be 2 opens for Coco against a double. So puts him
as
this 83 in the 5th. So he's there's a hit for Mr. Forey. Good shot there. So 83. Look at this here.
She strikes here. That would be black 10.
Coco's 83 in the 5th. Mallory is all spares. And so she is going to be 92. So she'll have about a 10-pin lead this match. Still 40 down in the match, though.
She'd be very well advised to step on the gas pedal real hard right now.
She only got 5 frames left, and she's got 30 pins to make up. So
it's doable.
Get going.
It's doable because these patterns change very quickly. And I know when I was in the match with Tom, he was saying he was having some issues with his footing in the approaches here. So I mean,
lots of people have issues with their footing in the approaches here. I know people that did not bowl today because they have issues. Andrew has issues with his approaches. A lot of people really struggle.
He just switched to resin.
It was a great adjustment. He moved a little bit left with his feet and then used the resin to come off the corner on the drier lane, and that looked pretty good. Just didn't get the carry.
Was that resin, or was that one of those? I can't see what just came out of the.
No, that's not like an attitude control. No, it was nothing like that.
No. Oh boy.
It was some kind of resin. Now Mallory 2810. Her troubles continue. Giving that open right back to Coco. Scott Widmer is getting total command of this match. Oh, almost gets the.
Yeah, almost carries the.
Again, he goes front 5, spare, strike, likely another spare, so that's it. Widmer, as we talked about. And Stephen Major, front 3, going for his 4th one. Already up by 40, so Stephen Major in command here in this match.
He's using a little bit of loft there, looks like.
What a look he has. That's scary.
He's a tough competitor, too. I mean, like I say, when we bowled and we won the over-under in Cranston, he's a tough customer. I have a lot of respect for him.
Well, you know, he's sneaky good because his arm swing is so pure. You know, if you, and Coco just rolls a 3-9. So, rich get richer. And Mirable completes a triple. That's going to give him the lead in the match.
It looks like he's moved a little bit left, tried to get around it a little bit more and throw it into the burn spot.
Yep, he was down 12 and now up 20 in this game. That's a lead change right there for Mirable, now taking the lead over Chris Forey. Adam Zimmer desperately needs a strike to get back in this, and does.
It's interesting on 21-2. It seems like they both moved into the track. They're not trying. They've gotten away from the gutter.
Right, right. It's carved up. It does happen, even with urethane. To make the move, and it can be pleasurable if you can get a little push on the front and then get some reaction on the back. But this urethane drags the slop down to the back end. You never know what it's going to do. Can you tell I've got some issues against urethane today, maybe, my friend?
Oh, boy.
Joe Paluzik has these pants. This is no left-handers. He's got a logo of a two-hander and a slash through no two-hander.
With a crutch.
I might get something for pants like that for no urethane. Might have to do that.
Interesting.
Great shot by Adam. They both moved in. They're now both swinging the track on that pair. Andrew Anderson, we're at an event near Detroit in bowling, and he comes back and he's got his T-shirt. Urethane sucks. where do I get one of those? I guess it's just a necessary evil. I mean, there's not a lot you can do about it. It is what it is.
I mean, it's just a situation. It's the way the game is evolving, and hold.
No, not that much hold, my friend. You get some hold.
And you just got to find a way to go with the flow, so to speak.
Well, you got to react if you want to stay competitive. I mean, I'd much rather be bowling and competitive with urethane than not, obviously. But you'd like to try to see if we can maybe get some pattern design that doesn't encourage so much. So funny, because I remember my first urethane ball. It was in the Hartford area. I had an AMF angle. We took it to Paramus, which had the silicone oil, and I beat your boy there, Mike Roth. I shot 919 over for 20 games with Mike Leddick, and we won doubles regional. And I felt like Superman with that angle. I mean, it was the next level of everything.
You also did in a very, let's just say, storied house, because we all know how famous, Paramus was, with that Eastern Classic scratch league they had, and all the action and everything else down there.
Action. They had bleachers built into the first 16 lanes, like 3 or 4 layers of bleachers up. It was like a really big spectator area, and they filled it regularly all the time. And that was back in the time when they never re-oiled and all that. So that my tournament, the top, all 4 of the doubles teams of the top 8 were left-handed. So I can't take a whole lot of credit. I blew Mark Roth off the planet. He, like every other righty, had nothing down the stretch. So
I mean, let me put it this way: you got to remember, there's no way. There's no way to win a NEBA, by luck, and there's no way to win a PBA title by luck. It doesn't happen.
No, it's true. And I mean, we were solid. I mean, we were making the shots.
Right.
It's just, and we beat every other lefty. We beat everybody else in the building by a lot. It's just, you back in the day, you know, when you didn't have fresh down the stretch, they didn't know as much about how the patterns broke down and all that stuff. That's what I'm saying. So
I mean, back
going for 4, and it's the week 10. Glad there's no 7 there.
And the other thing is, back in those days, you know, at least from what I remember, you know, talking with Mark, and we had made discussion of this over the years. You know, patterns break down so much more diagonally today with the rev rates and the resins and everything that's going, you know, diagonally across the lane, where things were a little bit more vertical, if you will. You know, as opposed
the moves are very, very. It was a couple more. You know, you go 2 and 2 left as a righty. You know, you go 3 and 3 left. It was very very linear, as you say. You know, but now you might make a 10-board move left and have the same break point.
No, that's very true.
Because that's what the pattern dictates. You know, and you've got to come out of the pattern the right way, depending on pattern length and things like that. So.
And don't forget, you know, the covers back then, obviously, you know, plastic or urethane, you know, or less porous.
You didn't have flare.
I was just gonna say 3-piece pancake weight blocks, and
you didn't absorb anything into the cover stock.
Correct.
So everything would just kind of stay in the lane. But then again, you had 7 mils of oil, 10. You know, in relative terms, you had very, very little oil. So, you know, it would definitely get drier, but nothing like what you can do today, the way you can destroy a pattern in 2 or 3 games. Urethane dragging it down and a sponge just soaking it up. There's another bucket crumblage for Mr. Mirable.
Widmer has his match very well in hand. If he makes a spare and strikes, he'll have looks like 235, which on that pair is an amazing score. And it looks like John Kirker can max out at 171.
Yeah, he's toast. Love you, John. Good showing. Top 8. Very good day.
Anyone who makes the finals in the TSC earned it.
No doubt about it.
I mean, you're bowling in an elite field. You're bowling on arguably one of the toughest patterns. Every time we bowled the TSC, we don't bowl on anything easy.
So Mallory, I was just going to say, Mallory has 1 open, all spares, and just struck in the 9th. And meanwhile, Coco, cruising along with mostly marks, is going to easily win that match. So it's going to be Coco and Adam Zimmerman down by 40.
Oh boy.
And there's a very unfriendly 7-10, and Stephen Major looking very strong here with his 40-pin lead and 4-bagger. So let's pencil in Stephen Major. It'll be Stephen Major against Tom Coco, and that will be on 23 and 4, Chris.
I think that match is going to be very telling as to who. Oh boy.
Uh-oh. And that's a foul, but it's 8 out anyway. It's no problem. That looked like a symptom of the slipped approach. So I think that will end Adam's day, sadly.
Still, again, to get to the finals in the TSC is a very big accomplishment. So,
no doubt about it.
You know, whether you get a win in the first round or you win it or whatever, it's an accomplishment.
And the only match that's in doubt here is the match right in front of us for Mirable. Because Mirable missed that single pin, and the lead that he had evaporated because of that, because he had his lead. It was, again, 12 pin advantage for 40.
Right.
And he's up by 10. So 2-pin match right in front of us, both guys on strikes. Doesn't get closer than this. Now I can tell where Chris is lining up based on the gap between his leg and the ball return. Now he moved right a little bit more. Before he had a bigger gap. Let's see if he stays with this resin.
So that's up the lane.
I think. Straight up the lane and pipes it.
He found a little hole there, it looks like.
It. Well, I think he balled down to something that just didn't hook. I don't know if that was a pitch or what that was, but that went absolutely straight.
So it looks like...
no, that was a purple. You know, it's funny, those purples, they get going down the lane, they look black. You know, you can't really tell. You know, they're not a bright neon type purple. They're really a soft hue.
So Mallory shot 189 that match.
Yeah, and Tom Coco's gonna.
Ooh.
That's an interesting 6 or 4-7. And would give Forey the 12
Trip
pin
6.
lead back again. Strike by Forey was to tie the game and get him back even for the match. Back to his plus 12. Meanwhile, Adam just bowling it out while Steve Major doubled.
Ooh!
And there's a lane touring spare shot that Mike Mirabile threw out over about the 3 board, asking it to cover over to cover the 4-7. Does not get there and picks the 4 off the 7 for another open, and that's going to put Forey's lead in the 23 pin category, 22 pin category right now.
Because if they both go sheet.
24. 24, that's right. And Mirabile almost at a must strike now. Doesn't get it. Ring 10.
Add insult to injury.
50. Most he can do is 2-teen. Let's give him 215 minus 4 because he shot 196. That's plus 11. Before he started with 208, so he needs to get to plus 11. And right now he's at a plus 15 pace. So Forey just needs 3 marks to lock it up.
Right.
No matter what Michael does. There by Mr. Mirabile. Once again, I hope you're enjoying this YouTube presentation of the New England Bowlers Association Storm Roto Grip at 900 Global Tournament of Champions. We are going straight to YouTube because we've had internet problems, and so unfortunately could not bring you these matches live today, but hopefully you're capturing them and watching them on YouTube and enjoying them. To extend his lead into the 30s now. Big shot here.
That looks good.
Pike looks good. He likes it.
Ooh.
Smash 10. Fumble not complete. So let's have him miss this again. He only needs 3 marks to wrap it up.
Yeah, the
just make your spares there, my friend.
post service didn't deliver on Sunday.
No. No messengers. No, as we call them, Farkles.
Yes. Oh, another
Flying
pocket
Farkle.
710.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very little, as it turns out.
My little ones are watching me what I'm doing right now. Those are my little ones.
Oh, there you go. Look at them. There you go.
They wanted to bowl a little bit.
Get them a lane.
They already did.
Oh, good. There you go.
Good spare.
Let's see how they play the pattern. See how they do. And Forey does the right thing by covering that 10 pin. And keeping himself in the match here. And meanwhile, Stephen Major, I might have to change my pick because he's making this skid flip reactive ball look awfully good. He's going to shoot 230 this game.
No, he's got actually 260.
266 he's got in the wood.
Yep. Which is an amazing score on this pattern.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And did you say he was bowling Tom Coco in the next match?
I did say that on lanes 23 and 4, the pair right in front of us.
Looks good.
It's got to be right a little bit. Could have striped up and carried, but he only needs 2 more marks. That's going to do it. So, well, so much for the 260s.
You said 250.
Put him down on the 250s. Yeah, I did say that because I am a prognosticator. And we will make it true.
Or was that the broadcaster's jinx as you talk about?
Well, there's that. There's that too. Whenever I tell myself I know something, I realize I know nothing. So, and we do have the broadcaster's curse and the bitter broadcasters here for sure. But you could be a little less bitter having made the cut.
I mean,
And good cover there by Forey.
Big cover.
Just needs one more mark to lock it up.
I mean, I mean, what I had put on Facebook was true. It's like, you know, to make a cut in your own house is a great thing, and that's obviously what I would want. But then, you know, like when I won the your doubles event, to win in your home house, and I've had the privilege of winning 3 NEBAs in my home house. I won 2017 here, your doubles event here, and I won the Tournament of Champions when we had the shop up at Town and Country in 05. Mm-hmm. So it's a very special feeling.
There you go. We're going to start equating you to Alex and EP.
Oh!
And unfortunately, Michael cannot get that strike. Now Forey doesn't even need a mark. That's going to pretty much wrap up this match. And it will be Chris Forey against Scott Widmer on 21-2. He'll move over to his left. It will be Tom Coco against Stephen Major. And we'll just wait to round out these scores, Chris, and then we'll sign off. And
thank you for having me join you.
Next match. And yeah, thanks so much for the commentary.
No, true privilege to join you, Bruce. Thank you.
Sounds like you have to go tend to the kiddies.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
No, they want to go bowling. They're still bowling on 49 and 50, so I'm trying to work with them a little bit on basic timing. We did that yesterday when we were at home, and I'll see how they're doing with it today.
Let them have some fun, my friend. Let them have some fun. It'll be okay if they miss their mark a couple of times today. It'll be all right. I worked really hard with that with Andrew, trying really hard not to train him too early. And but he just naturally took to it. So there you go.
And they both love to bowl, and of course Nicholas has a very special middle name. So he was named after my coach.
Bruce? Wow, I'm really honored.
No, his name is actually Nicholas Roth Monroy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
Is it Roth? Good,
Yep.
Good for you. That's amazing. That's great. I know Denise Roth is an often viewer.
No,
of this, so hopefully she'll see this YouTube.
We talk very often, and we talk at least 2 or 3 times a week, and we stay in touch. And actually, one really cool thing, if I could just say this quickly, on eBay, I just picked up the shirt that Mark wore on Kingpin.
Wow, no kidding.
Yep.
Cool. You have to get that framed on the wall.
I will.
Somewhere, so good for you.
Great shot.
And
Great
Forey
shot.
gets the mark, locks up the match. It will be Chris Forey against Scott Widmer on a 21-2, as we said. And there's some reactive. That's a more typical reactive.
Actually, you know what that was? That was a Widow Visible.
Oh, no kidding.
That's a plastic ball.
Well, guess what? It hooked.
Yeah, it did.
So this pair is getting really torn up. This is going to be, to watch Stephen Major tackle this pair will be interesting. It'll be Coco bowling against him, so we'll see how this goes.
Again, if I could just say again, thank you for having me on the live stream, and thank you to all of our NEBA sponsors who really make this organization what it is.
Well, you know, we have a lot of great sponsors, Chris. $60,000 in equivalent cash and equipment, and it goes towards covering expenses, and most of it goes to prize funds, and we're really grateful to our NEBA sponsors. So yes, sir.
And thank you to
most of them will be back next year. We'll have a more formal read when we get closer, but we've got the whole schedule out with all the tournaments titled, so I want everybody to go to the website and check that out. So anyway, Chris, thanks so much for the insights, and always great to have you. I'll have to get you back on more often here.
If you'd like me back, I'm more than happy to do it at some point. Again, I really appreciate the offer. Thank you.
Fun being in the booth, fun watching these matches, and we're killing time here watching Forey just finish up his last shot. He's going to move over to something reactive. I bet you this hooks.
Yeah,
right
no,
off
that's a spy. That's a radical spy. That's a plastic ball.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That's a radical spy.
Oh, never mind. There we go. Let's see how this does.
I was able to see the logo for a quick second.
Oh, well, yeah, behave like plastic. So there you go. That'll be 213 for Chris Forey. Thank you, Mr. Monroy. Take care, my friend.
Thank you.
Enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Bruce.
Everybody, hope you're enjoying the YouTube channel. And stay tuned. We'll have the semifinals and the finals coming up. Okay, see you later.